Welcome, everyone. Today, I will present my research proposal titled Leadership Effectiveness During Organizational Change: The Impact of Communication Strategies on Employee Engagement and Resistance. This presentation will explore how leaders or leadership communication influences employee attitudes during organizational transformation, incorporating both contemporary theory and biblical leadership principles. Organizational change has become a constant due to factors such as globalization, technological advances, economic uncertainty, and shifting workforce expectations. Leaders play a pivotal role in these transitions, and communication is one of the most critical leadership functions during change. Effective communication fosters employee engagement and reduces resistance, which are key to successful change initiatives. I will also highlight the integration of biblical leadership principles, which emphasize wisdom, servant leadership, and integrity in communication. The problem statement. Despite research, many change initiatives fail due to ineffective leadership communication. Employees resist change when communication is lacking transparency or excludes them from the process. While leadership communication is known to be important, there is a lack of clear understanding about which specific communication strategies are most effective in boosting engagement and reducing resistance. So this study aims to address that gap. The purpose of this quantitative study is to examine how different leadership communication strategies impact employee engagement and resistance during change. Focus on transparent, participative, and consistent communication practices. The focus is on understanding whether transparent, participative, and consistent communication positively influence employee attitudes and behaviors amidst organizational transformation. This study seeks to answer 4 key research questions. First, how do leadership communication strategies affect employee engagement during change? Second, what is the relationship between leadership communication and resistance? Third, which communication strategies most effectively reduce resistance? And lastly, how do employees' perceptions of leadership communication influence their commitment to the organization during change? Based on those research questions, 3 hypotheses guide this study. The first hypothesis posits that effective communication positively influences employee engagement. The second states that transparent and participative communication reduces employee resistance, while the third hypothesis proposes that employees who view leadership communication as trustworthy and consistent demonstrate higher organizational commitment. The significance of this study contributes to the leadership and organizational behavior literature by identifying communication strategies that improve change management outcomes. The findings will help leaders and HR professionals develop communication frameworks that foster employee trust, engagement, and adaptability. Moreover, by integrating biblical principles such as servant leadership and wisdom, This research adds a unique ethical and practical perspective to leadership scholarship. Organizational change involves modifications to structure, culture, or strategy aimed at improving performance and adaptability. Leadership is central to managing change because leaders influence employee attitudes and motivation. Kotter's work highlights that ineffective communication breeds confusion and resistance. Transformational leadership theory supports this by emphasizing the role of inspiring communication to build commitment and trust. Communication is among the most powerful tools for managing change effectively. Strategic communication reduces employee uncertainty and promotes transparency. Some effective strategies include transparency, two-way communication, participative decision-making, consistent messaging, and emotional support. Research by Min and Stacks 2014 confirms that transparent communication significantly enhances trust and engagement. So think about this. When things are going on around you, if you're informed, if your leaders around you speak to you and let you know exactly what's going on, what happens? Do you feel like because you know what's going on, it builds trust, it builds team, it gives you a sense of confidence. It lets you know what's going on. Therefore, you have more trust, not only in your leadership around you, but in the leaders above you, above them. So it gives you a sense of belonging because of that transparency. And so communication is a very, very powerful tool for managers to change the atmosphere completely. Without it, it does the exact opposite. So employee engagement is the psychological and emotional connection that employees feel to their work and organization. Engaged employees are more adaptable and committed. Supportive communication during change increases engagement and job satisfaction. Resistance to change, which typically happens, but is often rooted in fear and uncertainty. And that was the flip side of not getting that clear, transparent communication. So poor communication intensifies resistance, while clear, honest communication can alleviate it. Biblical leadership emphasizes wisdom, integrity, humility, and servant leadership. The story of Nehemiah is a prime example of strategic communication. He shared a clear vision, motivated the people, and addressed resistance with calm and confidence. Jesus Christ exemplified transformational communication through servant leadership. Demonstrating empathy and compassion is what he did best. Proverbs 15:1 reminds us that gentle communication can prevent conflict, which an important lesson for leaders managing change can really grab a hold of. Theoretical framework within this study is grounded in two key theories. Transformational leadership. That theory focuses on vision, inspiration, and communication as tools to engage employees. Kotter's change management theory, which is an 8-step model emphasizing communication, his role in creating urgency and sustaining change and sustaining change momentum. And these theories support investigating how leadership communication affects employee engagement and resistance. I think I'm going to say that one more time, just in case. So this study is grounded in two key theories: transformational leadership theory, which focuses on vision, inspiration, and communication as tools to engage employees. Kotter's change management theory provides an 8-step model emphasizing communication's role in creating urgency and sustaining change momentum. There we go. And these theories support investigating how leadership communication affects employee engagement and resistance. There we go. And then methodology, research design. Here we have a quantitative correlational design, which will be used to examine the relationships between leadership communication strategies, employee engagement, and resistance to change. This approach allows for analyzing how variables interact without manipulating them, suitable for this exploratory study. Okay. The study will target employees in organizations that are currently undergoing or have recently completed change initiatives. Participants will be drawn from mid-size and large organizations across various industries. A purposive sampling technique will be used to select approximately 200 participants relevant to the study focus. Okay. So data will be collected through an online survey featuring Likert scale items measuring leadership communication effectiveness, employee engagement, resistance to change, and organizational commitment. The survey will use validated instruments to ensure reliability. Data analysis will include descriptive statistics, correlation, and multiple regression using software like IBM SPSS. The research will follow ethical guidelines, including obtaining informed consent forms from participants, ensuring confidentiality, and also allowing voluntary participation. Anonymity will be protected, and participants will have the right to withdraw at any time without consequences, maintaining the integrity of the study. It is anticipated that effective leadership communication strategies will positively influence employee engagement and reduce resistance to change. Transparent and participative communication is expected to build trust and organizational commitment. Additionally, biblical principles such as servant leadership and empathy are likely to align with these findings, reinforcing their relevance to modern leadership. So as we conclude, leadership effectiveness during organizational change heavily relies on communication strategies. It is absolutely vital to successful organizational change. Strategies that promote trust, transparency, and employee involvement. Organizations that prioritize these communication practices are more likely to succeed in their change initiatives. This study aims to contribute both practical and ethical insights by combining organizational leadership theory with biblical leadership principles. Okay. If there are no questions, Here is a list of references that you can take a look at. These are the references that were used in gathering information for this research proposal. And these works provide foundational theories, empirical evidence, and biblical texts relevant to the study of leadership communication during organizational change. I am Joelle Miles, and thank you for your time.